Okay, councillors. May we, the council of the town of Bassendean, being mindful of the code of conduct, have the integrity and wisdom to consider the matters before us honestly, graciously, and for the greater good of the town. Thank you. So firstly, I'd also like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we meet, the Whadjuk people of the Noongar Nation, and to pay our respects to their elders past, present and future. We have no members of the public present, so we will move on from item 2, public question time and addresses by members of the public, to item 3, attendances, apologies and applications for leave. Councillor Mikachuk.
Yes, I'd like to apply for leave from...
You might speak up a little bit.
Yeah, I'd like to apply for leave from, okay, today's the 26th, 29th of March to the...
29th is Friday, yeah?
Yeah, to the 2nd of April. Is that Tuesday?
Yeah. Anyone else? Councillor Hamilton?
From tomorrow through to the 1st.
Councillor Gangel?
Yeah, on the 9th of April.
Yep. Just the day?
Yes,
okay.
Yeah. And the evening, if you've got anything on the evening, obviously. Yeah.
I've got a second lot of dates.
Sorry, yes.
And from the 8th of April
Yep.
to the 11th.
The 17th of April to the 23rd.
Okay. Councillor Wilson?
Are these leaves of absence just if you're going to miss a meeting? Or is it
no.
just if you're going to be indisposed?
Because obviously our duties go outside of meetings as well, so it's just so if there's committee meetings and the like, there's notice given, so other people can can attend.
Okay, is that everybody? Okay, so do we have a mover for Councillor Quinton, a seconder, Councillor Hamilton, all those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Item 4, there are no deputations. Item 5, confirmation of minutes. So 5.1a, that the minutes of the February council meeting be received. To have a mover. Councillor Gangel, seconded. Councillor Brown, all those in favour? It's carried unanimously. And 5.1b, that they're a true record. Councillor Gangel moves, seconded. Councillor Brown, all those in favour? That's also carried unanimously. Item 6, there are no announcements. Item 7, no petitions. Item 8, declarations of interest. So Councillor Wilson, we have the impartiality interest from you, 10.8 from the briefing session.
Yes, that's correct. I'm a social member of the Lawn Boys Club.
So you're able to stay in the room for that one. Item 9, no business deferred from the previous meeting. Item 10, reports. So coming out on block, I currently have 10.2. 10.4 has been withdrawn. 10.5, 10.6, 10.7, 10.9, 10.10, 10.13, and confidential items 13.1, 2 and 3. Are there any additional items councillors would like withdrawn?
10.21.
Implementation of council resolutions. Yep. Sorry, what number was that? 10.21. Anything further? Okay then, can I have a mover for the remainder to be taken on block? Councillor Gangel moved, seconded Councillor Mikachuk. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. So item 10.2, this is the Tonkin Park Industrial Estate fencing audit and review. Any questions at this point? Councillor Gangel?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. Now, it's just in relation to Councillor Hamilton's suggested amendment. I just want to seek clarification. So currently it says approves the modification of local planning scheme policy number 6 industrial zones development design guidelines to delete reference for fencing to be set back 2 metres behind the street alignment. Now there's an alternative, and I just want to check something. Approves a modification to local planning scheme number 6, industrial zones development design guidelines, to amend landscaping part D from the existing ratio of 1 tree per 6 car parking bays to 1 tree per 4 car parking bays. I just want to check, in order to do that, is there a requirement for public advertising to change that in the scheme?
I would say under the policy, yes, there would be. I think from memory, the policy, I'm not sure if the industrial policy actually sets that rate or whether or not that's picked up in another policy.
So Councillor Howard, can I just because we're talking about your proposal, do you want to just read out what you're proposing as well in case that's moved?
Okay, so item 10.2, that Council 1 approves a modification to local planning policy number 6, industrial zones development design guidelines, to amend landscaping part D from the existing ratio of 1 tree per 6 car parking bays to 1 tree per 4 car parking bays, with all tree planting to comply with the town's street tree specifications, and 2, notes that the planning department of the town of Bassendean will cease compliance action against landowners at 76 and 80 Mayholman Drive, Bassendean, provided those landholders enter into an agreement with the town to install and maintain at their own cost verge landscaping and or on-site tree planting designed to significantly improve the streetscape and or tree canopy of the respective sites.
So can I just ask, was your intention in point 1 to remove the part of the officer recommendation that refers to deleting the reference for fencing to be set back?
I don't support it. I don't support the officer's recommendation to remove that 2 metre fencing requirement. My main reason for that is that the
That's okay. I was just trying to see whether it was significantly different or whether you'd missed that.
It is significantly different.
Questions? Right.
Christian, the ratio of car parks, if we were to include this amendment, could they still maintain their level of car parking requirement if we are to introduce additional trees, considering these trees take up a fair geographical area?
Yes.
Yes, what?
Generally, the way this would apply to developments moving forward, and where our standard at the moment is 1 per 6 bays, it would then be 1 per 4 bay. So generally, you'd have a triangle cut out into the curb in and a tree placed in.
Just to clarify, so the answer yes would be that it would reduce the number of car parking bays available.
The trees, the way they work, is just kind of project slightly into the car parking bay, generally between 2 car parking bays and the tree.
But just to clarify, if this change was to be supported by council, it would not impact these current properties. This is for future developments that would have the requirements would be increased. Yeah. Councillor Hamilton.
In respect to the, I'm assuming that the original policy or plan or whatever it was made about 10 or a dozen years ago was specifically to keep fence lines 2 metres back and have landscaping in front of those to enhance the streetscape. Now, would that be correct?
I think Mr. Hartley provided some feedback to you on that house today, and the way he described it is that originally, yes, the landscaping would be at the rear of the fence. It's the planner's argument that because it's a permeable fence of Garrison style, the landscaping is still visible beyond the fence.
However, you would agree that there is a difference between having landscaping facing onto the street as opposed behind a fence, be it Garrison style fence or otherwise. You would agree with that, would you, or not?
I suppose the landscaping would be slightly more visible if it's in front of the fence. But the issue, I think, tied up in this report are there a number of fences beyond those 2 properties where the fence is on the front boundary, either with council approval or in departure from the approved plans. The solution we put forward is that it would resolve all of those by allowing fencing to be placed on the front boundary.
So are these two properties the only two that are deviating from the approved?
They are two with a specific resolutions about taking action, about resolving the matter. From memory, I think there was something like another 20 properties that do not comply with the 2 metre setback.
Councillor Hamilton? Oh, sorry, I didn't see you, Councillor Mitchell.
That's okay. So what are the implications for the other 20 properties should council not wish to adopt the officer recommendation?
Prosecution.
We've done an audit. They're currently in breach of the scheme.
Yeah.
If the fencing was approved on the front boundary through policy, we would not take any action against those. Potentially, if council doesn't change that policy, we've got another, I think, 20 properties liable, I suppose, for enforcement action.
Councillor Hamilton?
Looking at the breakup of the figures that you propose, obviously some of these properties legitimately gained approval, no matter where the fence was, some 12 years ago before changes in policy. Some others have had approvals after that. Then you've obviously got a percentage of properties that have varied from the format given to them when they got their approval or their permit or whatever you'd like to call it. So those properties that you're talking about are ones that have actually gone against the approval that was given to them initially. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. So why couldn't we apply, like I've suggested, a variation where rather than prosecute, they enhance the property with tree planting and things like that. So why couldn't we apply something like those to the remaining of those properties?
I suppose your resolution, or the suggested resolution, it could be done, but would need to encompass those other properties as well, beyond the two listed.
Why are those two particularly identified?
Because there were council resolutions.
Yeah,
I suppose they came before council, and there were specific resolutions against those two properties.
Councillor Gandrew?
Thank you, Your Worship. I understand that there is I will give the officers an opportunity to advise if this is not possible. As I know, there is a stalled prosecution currently underway, but I was looking to move a procedural motion to defer this item to enable councillors to have an site inspection of the industrial area, just so we can actually have a holistic view of what we're looking about across the entire industrial sort of drive around. Is there any urgency with this delayed action?
No.
Very good.
In order to make a better decision, I'd say.
So deferral moved by Councillor
Yes,
Gandrew,
thank you.
seconded by Councillor Hamilton. All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Okay, item 10.5, request for contract variation. This is the Creating Communities request to consider some additional funds for modelling. Councillor Hamilton?
Did we not pull 10.4 out?
No.
We did.
It's been,
It's been withdrawn.
completely.
Sorry. Correct.
So Councillor Quinton, I believe you had a conversation about this in advance of the meeting.
Yes.
Okay. Do you want to elaborate?
Oh, I just felt that there was some information lacking from the report because normally we would be given the contract as a confidential item so we could see exactly what we've signed up with Creating Communities and what additional things we would be signing up for. Also, the conversation I had with the CEO was that this funding would be going to AUDRAC, but the report doesn't say that. The report says that the additional funds of $35,000 would be going through Creating Communities, and it doesn't really talk about what it is that we're actually getting in terms of the concrete idea of what it is. So I just had a lot of questions about it. I just felt that there was a lot of missing information.
Yeah, and I completely agree, Councillor Quinton, and I think it's probably a timing issue. So tomorrow we're actually settling the contract with Creating Communities. So what I'd like to propose is that we defer this item till next month, which will enable us to bring back the contract in its entirety, present it to Council. You can actually see the scope of work that's being proposed, but also where the additional work fits in and what benefit that will be derived from it.
Yes, the other question I had was that this would be funded by reallocating funds set aside to commission a heritage consultant to identify heritage precincts and prepare an associated design guidelines. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought we had already done that, or had we already just done the design precincts and the heritage precinct was an addition to that? So I felt like we had already had a presentation about precincts.
This Council's had a presentation on built form guidelines, but not the heritage precincts.
Okay.
The heritage precincts came out of the review of the municipal heritage inventory.
Yeah.
And then there's two projects in there. One was about doing heritage incentives to encourage people to go from category 2 or 3 onto the heritage list. We did discuss that a little bit earlier today on the corporate management team, and then I did suggest that we could have another look at that to see whether or not that project could be done in-house as opposed to using consultants. The heritage guidelines really needs a heritage architect to formulate policy for that. And again, we discussed briefly today, it's not to throw that proposal out, but re-list funds next year to do that as part of next year's budget if this money is reallocated in this project.
Councillor Hamilton?
Yes, may I ask, if we defer this, given that we were supposed to be starting on the 1st of April, how does that affect the communication process that is almost upon us?
Yeah, so we've actually engaged with Creating Communities, and there was a proposal that they submitted which we accepted and was deemed the preferred supplier from the evaluation process. What we're talking about here is a variation to the contract to incorporate additional work with Audric, but we were quite happy with the proposed scope of work. So what I was going to suggest is providing an early copy of that to you this Friday in the Councillor's Bulletin, and also arranging an orientation session very shortly, because that work is designed to kick off in April before our next OCM.
So further clarification, this 3D modelling, which is the extra budgeting requirement that you're after, I was given to understand that this would greatly assist the communication with the community and given the visualisation. Certainly myself and Councillor Wilson joined you when we visited that site, and I can see the value, but I would have thought that that should be part and parcel almost from the get-go, but that's not going to happen, is it?
So there was a small amount of modelling that was incorporated in the original proposal from Creating Communities, and that was to occur right at the back end of the process. What we're suggesting is, if we're going to have a shop front, it would be really nice to have something set up early so that people can come in and there's something for them to see and play with. So it's the additional $34,500 that will allow us to purchase that additional modelling.
But how delayed? I guess your question is, if we're about to open the shop front in April, this isn't going to come back to us until the April OCM, what's the time lag?
Yeah.
So there will be, I guess we won't see that modelling probably till May, but there are still other activities that can occur. So there'll actually be postcards going out to everyone in our community, and some initial discussions, feedback, etc. But Tony, are you able to comment on the impacts if we don't have the modelling work until potentially May?
Yes, I can. I don't think it'll have a terrific impact. What this additional modelling is to help look at the town centre and also some streets in Eden Hill and Ashfield where the residents of that can become involved in looking at a typical street and how you might plan for the future of that, and if you're looking at future infill development and other uses. Creating Communities just wanted to run that through pretty much the whole program if they could, but there is some lead-in time required to get the models ready before they become available. The initial modelling was scheduled for August because that's when they're going to run their community design workshops, and that will be either in the post office or other facilities. And they're also going to run mobile workshops out at Ashfield and Eden Hill as well.
Councillor Hamilton?
I guess I'm interested in how an extra month might interrupt the flow of the communication. I think, and if there's modelling to be made, I'm curious about the timelines. The timelines seem to me to be very important in this, but especially since this communication is probably one of our top priorities, so that's why I'm curious about how an extra month might delay things and stop the flow of information. But I'll leave it to other councillors to ask other questions.
Okay, if there's no further questions, we've got an officer recommendation, and we've also had someone flag the desire to potentially defer. So does somebody want to move? Councillor Ganchel?
Yes, happy to move a deferral item for next month's meeting.
Is there a seconder? Okay, so that you're seconding the deferral motion? Yes. Okay, is there anybody against? Councillor Hamilton? Oh, hold on. Okay, all those in favour?
I was going to move the officer's recommendation.
Hold on, okay. We're moving the deferral at the moment. All those in favour of deferral? That's Councillor Ganchel and Councillor Brown. All those against? Councillor Wilson, Mikachuk, Hamilton, Quinton and McLennan. So that is lost. Who was going to move the officer recommendation? Councillor Hamilton's moved the officer recommendation. Seconded Councillor Mikachuk. Anybody against? All those in favour? That's carried unanimously. Thank you. Okay, 10.6, vandalism of street verge trees on Pride Way in Eden Hill. Councillor Ganchel.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm not sure how you want to handle this. I've actually got just some questions in relation to what's contained in our orange attachments.
Okay. So the question
I think I can get away with. I mean, nothing. I don't know why it's actually in there as confidential anyway. It's nothing that isn't public knowledge that I'll be asking. So there's been some confusion, and I know we have discussed this now, it seems ad nauseum, in relation to some of the comments that have been raised with the trying to say so I don't reveal anything that's in confidential attachments, with residents within the town in relation to what potentially is and is not a town policy in relation to having trees planted on verges, and there can be some confusion where, and it appears that staff inadvertently have provided advice that's contrary to the policy.
So you're talking about opt-out?
Yes. There in relation to what the town's policy is and what's been relayed here. I'm just wondering, and I have continued to ask, just when will council be ultimately determining that position? Because that's what my understanding has been, that council needs to determine their position on this, and that something will be forthcoming to council. Am I correct in understanding that?
So can I clarify, your question is around our general policy about planting trees on verges and whether we give residents a choice to have a tree on their verge or not? Is that your...
Yes, without going into specific detail, but so sorry, bear with me. So that's what my yes. So that's what but obviously because that's on orange paper, I can't
So
actually.
Councillor Gange is actually referring to our tree vandalism policy and our policy of having a sign and replacing the trees. Is that correct, Councillor Gange?
Well, can I actually move that we go behind closed doors, just so I can actually ask
Sure.
the questions
Seconder, Councillor Wilson, all those in favour? That's passed unanimously. Can you turn it up?
Thank you. I'll be very quick. It just makes it easier this way. Oh, okay. Well, I don't think there's anything really confidential anyway.
Hang on a second.
Ah.